Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy AD. As you can see, my other two co-hosts are not here right now because one of them is in the hospital getting stitches removed, and the other one is just MIA because he was out partying last night. But the show must go on. You know what I mean? The show must go on. So, I just wanted this to be a very, very brief video. It's not going to be me ranting and raving and talking for a whole hour because honestly, that's not what I'm about, and that is not good content. However, I definitely want a huge discussion to go on in the comment section. So I'm going to pose this question to you, okay? Following the outcome of the general elections that were held earlier on this month in the UK, I want to ask you guys, do you think that people over a certain age should not be allowed to vote anymore? Now, the reason I ask that is because the Conservatives ended up winning the general election, and by a large majority. If I get the stats up for you guys, just to put it into perspective, Conservative won by 43.6%, and then next up was Labour with 32.2% of the votes, or rather the seats in the UK, and then was Liberal Democrats at third with 11.5%. Just to put that into actual numbers, there are 650 seats in the UK for grabs. Out of those 650, Conservative took 365. There is a seat for each day of the year. Then Labour 203, and then Liberal Democrats had 11, but then Scottish National Party also had 48. So technically, Scottish National Party was up there, but they apply only to Scotland, so we don't talk about them anyway. That just goes to show, how votes and seats and stuff was split up. Like, Conservative took it and it wasn't even close. And if you look at a map, because I'm looking at a map right now of how the votes were split up, it is a lot of blue on that, which represents the Conservatives. Like, they took votes everywhere. Like, basically all of England is covered in blue with very small specks of red here, there, and everywhere, to signify where people's voting allegiances lay. So it was, it was a wash. It was a wash for Labour, man. It was a wash for Conservatives. It was in the bag for them. You understand? It was in the bag. So Labour got washed, Conservatives washed them. But if you looked at social media during the general elections, it was very, very obvious that the youth were in support of Labour. And it was not even close. It was massive. Like, there was a huge belief that Labour was going to win based off of what was going on social media. It was ridiculous how many young people around my age, so we're talking in our 20s, were saying, vote Labour, vote Labour, vote Labour. But then the outcome came out Conservative, and Twitter melted down, bruh. Like, everyone on Twitter was going nuts, and we're like, man, how can this happen, etc, etc. You guys have doomed us. Now we're gonna have to pay mad amounts for our healthcare and this and that. And that's not to say that some youths didn't vote Conservative. I personally know a couple people who did vote Conservative who are my age. You know what I mean? So, and I've looked at the manifesto for Conservative. Admittedly, it was after the voting was done, but I have looked at the manifesto of the Conservatives, and it's not all doom and gloom. Like, it does make sense, some of the stuff that they're actually going to try to do. But I mean, something like the privatization of the NHS, I am not about. I do not want that to go through, so they can kiss my ass with that. But I mean, there's other things about it that seemed appealing to some people, like, for example, the fact that they're going to bring a resolution to Brexit come the end of next month, so the end of January. I mean, little things like that, man. Little things like that. But a lot of the youth were just mad at it because it seemed like the future of our country was decided by a demographic of people who essentially were not going to be around long enough to reap the benefits. And they were voting on something that essentially affects the future of the youth more so than it does for their own futures. And it was just thought of as unfair. So I wanted to pose that question to you guys. Do you think that people over a certain age should not be allowed to vote? And if so, what should that age be? So I sat down, I thought about it, and I was like, look, if you something like 85 years old, right, what business do you have voting? Like, there's not much at that point that affects you. And I think that if you have had the privilege to be able to vote from the age of 18 to 85, then you had enough of a say. By this point, you're waiting to die, right? Like, you got one foot in the grave and you're on your way out. And granted, you never know, you know what I mean? Especially with the way healthcare and medicine and all that stuff progresses, people are living longer now than they ever did before. So this person might full well live all the way up to like 100, you know what I mean? An extra 15 years or so. So 15 years of not being able to vote, unfair. But like I said, that 15 years of not being able to vote in a time where essentially you are on your way out versus the 60 plus years you've been able to vote, you know what I mean? It's just like that. But of course, there is the flip side, which is at the end of the day, you have the right to vote. Like, it is your not God-given right, but it is your what's it called? Your democratic right, I guess is the word I'm trying to say, to vote, irrespective of your age, your gender, your religion, your sex, anything. Like, it is your right to vote. So why can you not have a say in the way the country goes, especially if, you've spent how many years of your life in this country, providing for it, paying your taxes, doing your due diligence, etc., etc. And you are a citizen of the UK at the end of the day, so it's only right that you get to decide how to vote. So what do you guys think? Do you think that people over a certain age should be allowed to vote, or do you think that they shouldn't be allowed to vote? You guys tell me. So in the comment section below, go nuts, go ham, be nice to each other, of course, but let's have that discussion. Should people over a certain age be allowed to vote or not? Like I said, with the outcome of the general election now, conservatives are the ones that are leading it, and it did seem like a large proportion of the voters that voted for conservatives were indeed people who were in the older demographic. It was people who are in their 30s and 40s and 50s who were voting for that versus the people in their 20s who seem to lean more so towards Labour. So you guys let me know what you think, and we will get this popping, and hopefully next week we will have a proper episode of the Forbidden Juice where we've got all the hosts back in there like swimwear. But yeah, man, let's just have this little discussion amongst ourselves right now. So go in the comments, go crazy, go nuts, and please feel free to educate me and the other two hosts on this political stuff, because honestly, neither of us, like none of us three, are political people. We are not that way inclined at all. So if you guys can give us that education, we would be we would appreciate that very, very much. But yeah, guys, go crazy in the comments, man. I'm looking forward to this discussion, and of course I will be chiming in and giving my opinion and such as well. But yeah, man, let's go crazy with this. All right, much love, guys. Thank you for coming through to this little mini segment of the Forbidden Juice, where we spill the juice on all things forbidden. Do you dare take a sip?